In the case of each man is Adam, each man, I mean, that thing was about my personal struggle of rediscovering myself as an artist in a very real and serious manner. And I once again felt I was in some starting position in my life and had to recover, I had to make my statement, and I had only my own authority to do it with. It was kind of suggestive of some kind of a sea creature, came from the ocean. And I always saw it as a head. It was a head, a very abstracted head, made up of a variety of geometric components and some organic stuff. It's big. It's a massive, I don't know of another piece like it that had that kind of hand-formed iron. You know, it's such a tour de force, this whole thing. I made it by myself without any assistance, and I worked on it for over a period of about 5 years, and of course not continuously, but I imagine there was about a year of continuous work involved. Well, and this is the stove, and I have a variety of viewers come through my space here, and are utterly confounded by everything they see, and they finally seize on the stove and they say, "Nice stove," and I've come to call that the stove test. But it is a nice stove, is the simple truth of it. But Jesus, this big thing right next to it, I worked on that for 5 years, and there's not a single word comes out of their mouths. So maybe I'm on the wrong track. I should be in the stove business. These pieces are, seem to me, they're about some kind of a duality theme, and they just seem very fleshed out, full, and very complete, hugging the floor in their own way, and yet released from the floor in their particular kind of form. I love the surface on the metal, a beautiful oxidation on the surface, contrasting against the clean edges. They look very complete. They look good to me. Anyway, this piece is once again a found piece, and I had it for quite a long time, and obviously had been formed, so much of it, and somehow it failed, and the whole forming process failed. It scored the edges here in this manner, and which seemed very beautiful to me in this kind of context I developed for it. So here again, it was just two elements. One element and the second element is it was one of the first that I came up with that kind of thinking, or the thinking probably came after the fact. So I usually tell people not to touch it, but when I get near the damn thing, I fondle it. I don't know what that means. Well, the truth is, this piece was a complete form, and I cut the bottom segment off, wanting to use that. I had some ideas about that, and as soon as I did that, whoa! What didn't I see? I didn't see this thing right. I mean, this part was amazing, very suddenly, very quickly, and I was really exhilarated with it, and so I called it Fleisch, which is a German word meaning both human flesh and meat, and somehow seemed appropriate, still does. It's kind of, it seems to have to do with all manner of suppressed symbolism. It's very sensuous to me, and kind of sexual, and which I love pieces to be. I love to bring that part. You don't have to be too damn smart to realize what sex means for human beings. So why not refer to it through art, which of course many people have and will continue to do. Some people say I'm an accumulator rather than a collector, because my lady and I, we go out constantly, generally 2 times a week. We go to auctions and we go to flea markets, and curiously I still manage to discover some very good things. So these things, so-called, have always been my principal source of information to me. But here is a piece. This is a meteorite, and I'm told that it came from Russia, and the Russians were collecting these things from all over the world and cutting them open, as you see here, with this facet, which also reveals the truth that it is a meteorite as a result of the crystalline quality of it. But they collected these things, I'm told, because of the presence of olivite in some of these pieces, and which they felt was useful for them in their atomic program. At any rate, be that as it may, this thing came to me exactly in this form, and somehow you see the amazing pits and cavities that it has, and together with this incredible flat surface, curiously the exact opposite of the other side. But for me, this thing as an object reflects this notion that I've had of what I've come to call reach, meaning a joining together as one of 2 entirely different form entities. In this case, this very rough thing to this very flat thing. In sculpture, this can happen in all manner of ways. So incidentally, this looks like the perfect piece to me. Otherwise, I'm just an eclectic human being, and people ask me what I love. Well, I love everything. I love every kind of object. I'm having some difficulty with some of the modern objects that one sees, and I view that mainly as a failure in my perception, my willingness to absorb whatever form appears before me. I have a prejudice toward antique things, and I'm sure there's some psychological answer to that, why that is, but that's the way it is, and that's how I function. So here we are. Who knows what's next?